Voldemort is one of the most feared villains in any movie. He's a dark wizard who wants to take over the magical world and destroy anyone who stands in his way. With his pale face, snake-like nose, and chilling voice, he looks terrifying, and he's powerful too. He can fly, speak to snakes, and use deadly spells, but here's the truth, you can still beat him, even without magic. What makes Voldemort dangerous isn't just his spells, it's how he spreads fear and makes people feel like they're alone. Every time he gets close to winning, someone brave steps in, and most of them are regular people. Think about Neville Longbottom. Around 1 hour, 48 minutes, Neville, who wasn't the strongest or most famous, but he destroyed the final Horcrux, the snake, with just a sword. That act made Voldemort mortal again. Even Harry only survived as a baby because of something simple, and that's his mother's love. He depends on people keeping secrets, turning against each other, and being too scared to fight back. But if you stick together, speak up, and protect others, he starts losing his power. You don't have to match his power to beat him. What you have to do is refuse to play by his rules. Sauron is one of the most powerful and feared villains in fantasy history. He's a giant fiery eye who watches everything from the top of a dark tower. He used to be a tall warrior with armor and a giant mace, but after he lost a big battle, his body was destroyed. Now, he's a spirit who controls armies of orcs, trolls, and evil creatures. His goal is simply to take over the world. Sauron's biggest power comes from the One Ring, and as long as that ring exists, his spirit lives on, and he keeps getting stronger. He uses it to spread fear, control minds, and twist people's hearts. You can't just walk up and fight him as he doesn't even have a body anymore. So how do you beat a villain like that? In the story, he's defeated by regular people. Frodo and Sam are just small hobbits with no powers, and they don't win by strength but by walking for days, hiding from danger, and sneaking into Sauron's land while everyone's distracted. They carry the One Ring all the way to Mount Doom, the only place it can be destroyed. Frodo actually fails at the last second, but around 3 hours and 32 minutes, Gollum accidentally falls into the lava with the ring. That mistake saves the world. The Kraken is a giant sea monster that shows up in Clash of the Titans. It's huge, with giant arms like an octopus, and it can crush ships or whole cities. People are terrified of it because when someone says, "Release the Kraken," it means big trouble is coming. And when the monster finally shows up, it looks like there's no way anyone could beat it. But the Kraken doesn't get taken down by another monster or god. It's defeated by a regular human named Perseus who doesn't have any special powers. What he has is a sword, a flying horse, and a plan. Perseus finds out that the Kraken can't look at the head of Medusa without turning to stone. So he goes into her lair, survives the traps, and cuts off her head. Then, when the Kraken attacks the city, he pulls out the head and holds it up. The moment the Kraken sees it, it freezes in place and crumbles into stone. Just like that, the scariest sea monster ever is gone. If you ever face the Kraken, you win by targeting the one thing it can't defend against. No monster, no matter how big, survives when you figure out what really breaks it. GLaDOS is the super smart computer from the Portal video game series, and she runs the entire lab at Aperture Science. She talks in a calm, robotic voice and acts polite, but she's actually really dangerous. She traps people in test chambers and plays mind games while pretending to help. GLaDOS controls all the doors, robots, lasers, pretty much everything, so escaping seems almost impossible, but she can still be beaten by someone smart and careful. Chell, a regular person, uses a special tool called the Portal Gun. It lets her make magic doorways on walls and floors so she can move around the lab in tricky ways. She jumps over traps, avoids robots, and finds hidden paths by thinking fast and staying calm. She pays attention to how things work and uses machines in the lab to fight back. For example, she points lasers at the right spots or uses moving platforms to help her. Step by step, she finds GLaDOS's weak spots and breaks her apart. GLaDOS can't grab her or stop her directly, so Chell keeps going until the whole system shuts down and she escapes. Megatron is one of the most dangerous villains ever put on screen. He's a giant metal war machine from another planet, strong enough to tear through tanks, fly across cities, and crush buildings without slowing down. He leads the Decepticons and doesn't care who gets hurt. But no matter how scary he looks, regular humans have beaten him before and can do it again. In the first Transformers movie from 2007, Megatron is seconds away from winning. He's already crushed through soldiers and destroyed half the city, but around 1 hour, 58 minutes into the movie, a teenager named Sam Witwicky, with no training and no weapons, climbs to the top of a crumbling building and shoves the Allspark cube straight into Megatron's chest. That one move killed Megatron on the spot. In other movies, human teams help take him down by hacking systems, using experimental weapons, or setting traps. They don't face him head-on. Instead, they confuse him, distract him, and strike when it matters most. If you ever had to face Megatron, your best move is to think fast, work with others, and use the one thing Megatron doesn't have: human creativity. He's a machine with patterns, you're not. That's why we've beaten him before, and that's why we could beat him again. Loki from the Avengers is known for causing trouble, but he's not unbeatable. He's Thor's brother and calls himself the god of mischief, but really he just uses tricks and lies to get his way. He doesn't fight with strength, but he fights with words, illusions, and mind control. That means if you can stay calm and think clearly, you have a chance. In The Avengers 2012, Loki shows up with a glowing cube called the Tesseract and tries to take over Earth by bringing in a giant alien army. He even controls people's minds and turns the team against each other. But there's one key moment where Natasha Romanoff stops him without any superpowers. Around 1 hour, 3 minutes. Into the movie, Loki thinks he's in control, but Natasha calmly tricks him into talking too much. She acts like he's won, but she's really listening for clues. The moment he slips up, she figures out his plan and stops him from hurting more people. That's the secret to beating Loki. Don't panic, don't argue, and don't let him get in your head. If you act scared, he wins. But if you stay focused, ask smart questions, and let him talk, Loki will give himself away. You don't need magic or muscles to defeat him. You just need a sharp mind and steady nerves. Count Dracula is one of the most famous villains ever. He's a vampire who lives in a dark castle, drinks people's blood, and never gets old. He can turn into a bat, climb walls, and even control people's minds. At first, it seems like there's no way a regular person could beat him. But Dracula has rules. He can't come into your house unless you invite him. He's weak in sunlight, scared of crosses and garlic, and he has to sleep in his coffin during the day. If you know these things and stay careful, you can stop him. Around 1 hour 40 minutes into the movie, Dracula loses to regular people. A small group, Jonathan, Mina, Van Helsing, and their friends, follow clues and track him down. They stay brave, work as a team, and bring the right tools like stakes, knives, and holy water. At the end, they catch Dracula in his coffin and destroy him with a knife and a wooden stake. Agent Smith is a scary-looking guy in the Matrix. He wears a suit, moves super fast, and can take over anyone's body in the Matrix. At first, he seems impossible to beat, but when you look closer, you can definitely beat him. He punches very hard, dodges bullets swiftly, and chases people down. But the thing is that he functions properly only inside the Matrix. In the real world, he's just a computer program, and if you mess with the system, you can break his rules. Around 1 hour, 23 minutes into the movie, Morpheus with no superpowers tries to hold him off. He fights with everything he's got, throwing punches and refusing to give up. But even with all his skill, Agent Smith still overpowers him because fighting him head-on doesn't work. A regular human does beat him still around 1 hour 54 minutes. Tank, a crew member with no powers, kills Agent by using computer controls. Later, Neo starts to win by learning how the Matrix works and thinking outside the box. Some might say, just get him out of the Matrix and beat him, since he only works inside the Matrix. But in the movie, no one actually does that. Still, if someone could pull him into the real world, he'd be easy to beat, even for an ordinary person. Dr. Evil is the main villain in the Austin Powers movies. He thinks he's a criminal mastermind, but most of his plans are silly, outdated, or full of holes. He spends more time talking about world domination than actually doing anything smart. He doesn't have powers, super strength, or even good aim. What he has are henchmen, buttons that drop people into fire pits, and a lot of bad ideas, like asking for $1 million as a ransom in the 1990s. His biggest weakness is he never thinks people will question him, and he explains his whole plan every time. In Austin Powers' International Man of Mystery, around 1 hour and 15 minutes, Dr. Evil tries to launch a giant laser into space to blow up the Earth unless he gets paid. But all it takes to stop him is sneaking into his base, shutting down the computer system, and ignoring the distractions. Austin doesn't use super gadgets, he just walks past the traps, outsmarts the guards, and pulls the plug. If a regular person had the map to his lair, they could do the same thing. He gives people too much time, talks instead of acts, and surrounds himself with followers who question him all the time. A sharp, focused person who doesn't panic could follow his steps, cut off his power, and stop him before the countdown ends. The Wicked Witch of the West is the green-skinned lady with the creepy voice, the black hat, and a bunch of flying monkeys. She gets really mad at Dorothy because her house accidentally lands on the witch's sister. After that, The witch wants revenge and keeps chasing Dorothy through Oz, trying to steal her magical ruby slippers. The witch can fly, cast spells, and control others with fear. She even sends an army of winged monkeys to attack Dorothy and her friends. She seems like a powerful enemy, but she's actually super easy to beat, as Dorothy doesn't even fight her. There's this part in the movie where the Scarecrow is on fire, and Dorothy grabs a bucket of water to help him, but when she throws it, some of the water splashes on the witch instead, and that's all it takes. The witch starts melting, screaming, "I'm melting, melting," and then she's just gone. This proves how beatable she really is as a regular person. A kid, even, didn't need strength or training. So if you ever had to stop the Wicked Witch, all you'd need is water, and you wouldn't even have to aim that well. Vecna is the main villain in Stranger Things Season 4. He used to be a boy named Henry Creel, but after hurting his family, he was taken to a lab and became something much worse. They called him One, and he had strong powers that let him move things with his mind. But one day, he lost control, and 11, another kid from the lab, fought him and sent him into a dark, scary world called the Upside Down. That's where he changed into Vecna. Vecna's power is super creepy as he finds people who are sad or hurting, then gets into their minds. He shows them scary visions, makes them float, and breaks their bones. When he kills someone, a big crack opens between the real world and the Upside Down, and that's how he tried to take over everything. There's one big moment in Stranger Things Season 4, Episode 4, where he almost kills Max, one of the main characters. She's trapped in her own mind and floating in the air, but her friends play her favorite song, Running Up That Hill, and it helps Max break free. You can see this around the 62 to 73 minute mark in that episode. That moment shows us Vecna can be stopped if you fight back with strong memories and love. Later in Episode 9, around 87 minutes to 102 minutes, Nancy, Steve, and Robin attack Vecna in the Upside Down. They throw fire at him, shoot at him, and knock him out of a window after several shots. But when they check again, his body is gone. He escaped, but yeah, he didn't win. So if you ever had to face someone like Vecna, your best chance is to stay close to your friends. Keep your strongest memories close, and don't let him trap you alone. He can hurt you with fear, but regular people beat him by standing together and not giving up. Joker is the main villain in the 2019 movie Joker. He starts as Arthur Fleck, a lonely man who feels ignored and hurt by the people around him. He has trouble with his mental health and feels like nobody cares about him. But as things get worse, Arthur changes into the Joker, a dangerous man who causes chaos and fear in Gotham City. Joker doesn't have powers or weapons like a superhero. He uses fear, surprise, and the media to spread his message. He makes people angry enough to start a riot. There's a moment around 1 hour and 40 minutes into the movie when Joker goes on a talk show hosted by Murray Franklin. At first, it looks like Joker just wants to talk, but then he shocks everyone by admitting he killed 3 men on the subway. Then he surprises the host and the audience by shooting Murray live on TV. This moment shows Joker taking control of the city's attention and making people scared. But even though he causes chaos, Joker is still just a regular person, and regular people, the police, are the ones who stop him. They arrest him right there during the riot and lock him up. Joker only got that far because no one stepped in early. He was ignored, pushed aside, and left alone with his problems. So the real way to stop him is by noticing the signs and stepping in way before. The Predator is a big alien that comes to Earth just to hunt people for fun, and hides, watches, and kills. There are 2 types we've seen in movies. The first one from Predator, 1987, and another called the Feral Predator from Prey, 2022. They're both scary, but believe it or not, regular humans beat them. The first Predator wears metal armor, has a big mask, and sees heat instead of light, and it can shoot lasers from its shoulder, turn invisible, and fight super hard. It hides in trees, waits for people to mess up, and attacks when they're scared or running. The Feral Predator is a bit different. It looks more like a wild hunter from long ago, and it wears a bone mask instead of a metal one, and even though it doesn't have a laser cannon, it still has sharp blades, throwing darts, and it can go invisible too. It's super fast, super strong, and it hunts animals, people, and anything strong just to prove it's better. But even with all that power, they both get beaten by humans with no superpowers. In Predator, 1987, a soldier named Dutch gets away by using mud to hide his body heat so the Predator can't see him. And then around 1 hour, 21 minutes, he builds traps in the jungle, and around 1 hour, 38 minutes, he makes the Predator fall into one, and a huge log crushes it. In Prey, 2022, a girl named Naru uses her brain and skills to win, and she studies the feral predator, learns how it sees, and then hides in the mud and sets a trap. And when the predator tries to shoot her, it hits itself in the head with its own weapon. So even though they're strong and scary, you don't need bug weapons and superpowers, as the Predator always loses when someone stays calm, watches closely, and uses a smart plan. Their weakness is that they expect you to panic and fight the wrong way. Megamind is the main villain in the animated movie Megamind. He starts out as a genius supervillain who loves causing trouble and battling his rival, Metro Man. He's smart, has lots of gadgets, and builds big machines to take over the city. But deep down, Megamind mostly wants attention and to feel important. At first, it seems like nobody can stop him, and he even thinks he's won when Metro Man disappears. But that's where things start falling apart. Megamind gets bored without a real enemy, and when he tries to create a new hero, it backfires badly. The new villain, Titan, turns out to be stronger and scarier than Megamind ever was. This shows Megamind's biggest weakness. He doesn't actually want to destroy the world. He just wants to play the role of a villain. And that's something a regular person can use against him. Around 36 minutes into the movie, Roxanne Ritchie, a regular reporter with no powers, figures Megamind out. She catches onto his plans, challenges him, and even helps change his mind for good when she needed saving around 1 hour 13 minutes. She doesn't fight with weapons. She uses her voice, her smarts, and the fact that Megamind wants to be liked. Eventually, Megamind switches sides and saves the city. If you want to beat Megamind, the real key is to call out his behavior and show him that his games have consequences. He's not cruel, he's just insecure. And that means a regular person who stands up to him, asks the right questions, and doesn't panic has a real shot at winning. The Xenomorph is a scary space monster with black skin, a long head, sharp teeth, and a mouth inside its mouth. It moves fast, climbs walls, and hides in dark places. It doesn't talk or feel anything, it just wants to kill. And when you shoot it, its blood is acid and can burn through metal. It starts small, as a facehugger that jumps on people's faces, then it grows inside their body and bursts out of their chest. After that, it turns into a full-size monster, and that's when things get really bad. As bad as things can get, and as terrible as the Xenomorph can be, it has a weakness that one can use to defeat it. In the movie Alien, 1979, a woman named Ripley is stuck on a spaceship with the alien. With most of her team gone, she doesn't try to fight it, not even with weapons. Instead, she stays calm, uses her brain, and finds a way to trap it. She puts on a spacesuit, opens the ship's door, and blasts the alien into space with a harpoon. Don't fight it face to face, as there's hardly a chance you'd survive. The Xenomorph is strong but not smart. It is scary, but it also can't plan ahead. It doesn't know when it's being tricked, and it relies heavily on the element of fear and surprise. The other mother is the main villain from Coraline, a scary, button-eyed woman who at first seems kind. She gives Coraline tasty food, fun games, and lots of attention, acting like the perfect mom. But she's really a shape-shifting monster called the Beldam, and she wants to steal Coraline's soul. She spies on children through dolls, waits until they feel sad or ignored, then invites them into her world where everything looks fun. But there's a catch. To stay, they have to sew buttons into their eyes. The other mother controls the whole fake world around her, changing how things look and feel to trick Coraline into staying. But none of it is real, as her love is fake, and everything starts falling apart the moment Coraline says no. Around 58 minutes into the movie, when Coraline refuses to sew in the buttons, the other mother loses her temper and begins to reveal her true form. Even though she's scary and powerful, Coraline beats her by staying calm, asking smart questions, and not falling for the trap. She makes a plan, outsmarts the Beldam with a fake escape, and then escapes for real. Later, around 1 hour and 31 minutes into the movie, Coraline throws the Beldam's creepy metal hand down a deep well so it can't grab her again. So if a regular kid had to face the other mother, the best way to win is to notice when something feels wrong, ask questions, and never say yes just because something looks nice. Jabba the Hutt is a big, slimy alien that looks like a giant slug who loves to laugh while others suffer. He has tiny arms, a long tongue, and creepy eyes. He's not fast, and he doesn't fight, but still dangerous because he's the boss of a lot of bad guys, and he keeps people trapped in his palace. Jabba doesn't have superpowers, but he has power over people. He keeps slaves, feeds people to a monster, and controls others with fear. Most people are too scared to stop him, but someone who wasn't a Jedi or a superhero did. In the movie Star Wars Return of the Jedi, Princess Leia gets captured and Jabba makes her his prisoner. It looks like she can't do anything, but she stays calm and waits. Then, around 34 minutes when no one is watching, she grabs the chain Jabba used to hold her and wraps it around his neck. She pulls hard until he dies. Jabba seems scary because people are too afraid to fight back. But if you're not scared, he's just a big, slow slug who can't really protect himself. President Snow is the main villain in the Hunger Games. He's the leader of Panem, and everyone fears him. He wears white roses, speaks softly, and always looks calm. But underneath that quiet smile is someone who uses fear to stay in total control. He forces kids into the games, punishes anyone who speaks out, and watches everything from the Capitol. In Mockingjay, Part 1, around 1 hour and 12 minutes into the movie, Katniss is watching a Rebel video when the screen suddenly changes. The Capitol takes over the signal, and Peeta, her friend, is shown on TV looking scared and hurt. He tells Katniss to stop fighting and warns her that something bad is going to happen. He says, "They're going to kill everyone. You're going to be dead by morning." Then Snow appears on the screen with a creepy smile, and the video cuts off. Everyone gets scared, and Katniss almost gives up. It's one of the few times Snow nearly breaks her completely, but in the end, she keeps fighting. Snow's power comes when people stay silent, and that's why regular people can beat him. The rebels fight back with cameras, messages, and teamwork. They expose what's really going on, and in Mockingjay, Part 2, when the Capitol falls, Snow is finally captured. Around 1 hour and 52 minutes into the film, Katniss comes face to face with him. But instead of killing Snow, she turns her arrow on President Coin, showing that both leaders had gone too far. In the chaos that follows, the crowd rushes Snow and he doesn't survive. Count Olaf is the main villain in a series of unfortunate events. He's a sneaky, greedy man who will do anything to steal the Baudelaire orphans' family fortune. He pretends to care about them, but he really only wants their money, and he's willing to lie, cheat, or even hurt people to get it. Olaf's main trick is disguise, and in almost every episode or book, he puts on a new costume and pretends to be someone else. A doctor, a coach, a sailor, even a scientist. The adults always fall for it, but the Baudelaire kids see through him every time, and that's why Olaf keeps failing. He's clever, but he's not smarter than the kids. So if you want to beat someone like Count Olaf, you just need to notice things. Ask questions, look closely, and don't ignore red flags. Olaf always slips up and his fake name won't match his tattoo. His accent will change and his story won't make sense. And once someone sees through the act and speaks up, his whole plan falls apart. In the Netflix series Season 2, Episode 10, The Carnivorous Carnival, Part 2, around 24 minutes in, Olaf plans a public execution by tricking a whole crowd into thinking the Baudelaire orphans are dangerous and setting up a stunt to drop one of them into a pit of hungry lions. The kids are dressed in costumes, trapped in a cage, and dangling high above the pit, and the crowd is cheering. Even Olaf's henchpeople are pressuring him to go through with it, and it seems like the Baudelaires are doomed. But then Violet secretly ties a knot that slows the drop, and Klaus delays the show by talking quickly. They work together to escape just in time, using the chaos to run before Olaf can act. It's a tense, dangerous moment, and for once, Olaf has almost everyone on his side, but he still loses, because the kids are definitely smarter and braver. The Red Queen is the main villain in Alice in Wonderland, especially in the 2010 live-action movie by Tim Burton. She rules Wonderland with fear, shouting "off with their heads" whenever someone annoys her, and is bossy, angry, and wants everyone to do what she says. The Red Queen gets help from the Jabberwocky, a giant dragon-like creature she uses to scare and control people. She also forces her sister, the White Queen, to stay hidden. If you had to defeat the Red Queen, you'd just need to take away the thing that gives her power, and that's the Jabberwocky. In the final battle, around 1 hour and 28 minutes into the movie, she brings the Jabberwocky to the chessboard battlefield, wanting to crush Alice and stay queen forever. But her plan doesn't work, as Alice stands up to her and defeats the Jabberwocky by cutting off its head. After that, the Red Queen loses everything, and the White Queen takes back the throne and banishes her sister. The Red Queen begs not to be left alone, but nobody wants to follow her anymore, and she's left to wander the land in silence, powerless, angry, and completely alone for the first time. Joffrey Baratheon is one of the most hated villains in Game of Thrones. He becomes king after his supposed father, King Robert, died. But even though Joffrey wears a crown, he didn't earn it. He's selfish, mean, and enjoys watching people suffer. He bullies everyone, including his own family, and he uses his power to hurt others just for fun. But of course, he's still human, which makes his defeat only a matter of time. Joffrey starts off feeling unstoppable, and one of the worst things he does is order the execution of Ned Stark in Season 1, even after promising to spare him. He also forces Sansa Stark to watch as her father is killed. He treats her terribly throughout the show. Joffrey acts like a strong leader, but he never fights his own battles. He hides behind knights, blames others when things go wrong, and has no real skills. In Season 4, Episode 2, called The Lion and the Rose, Joffrey throws a huge wedding feast after marrying Marjorie Tyrell. Around 48 minutes into the episode, he drinks wine that's secretly poisoned. At first, he laughs and shows off like always, but suddenly he starts coughing, choking, and grabbing his throat. His face turns red, then purple, and he falls to the ground in front of everyone. His mother, Cersei, screams as he dies in her arms. This moment is called the Purple Wedding, and it shows that even people who think they're untouchable can be brought down with simple, careful tactics. Thanos is one of the most dangerous villains ever shown on screen. He's huge, super strong, nearly impossible to hurt, and smart enough to plan out a way to erase half the universe with the Infinity Stones. He calls it balance, but really it's mass murder on the biggest scale you can imagine. You'd think there's no way any normal person could beat him. He fights gods, aliens, and sorcerers without breaking a sweat. But in Avengers Endgame, Thanos is actually defeated by a human, Tony Stark, who doesn't have superpowers. He's just a genius with tools, timing, and guts. Tony builds a special glove that can hold the Infinity Stones. He studies how the gauntlet works, hides his real plan during the final fight, and then grabs the stones right from Thanos without him noticing. And when the moment comes, Tony snaps his fingers before Thanos can react. In one move, Thanos and his army are dust. Even if you don't have a suit like Iron Man, that fight proves if you're fast, clever, and can target what matters most, like the gauntlet, you actually have a chance. Darth Vader is one of the most powerful villains in movie history. He started as a Jedi named Anakin Skywalker, but after turning to the dark side, he became the Emperor's most dangerous servant. With his black suit, red lightsaber, and deep breathing, Darth Vader is known for hunting Jedi, leading armies, and destroying anyone who gets in his way. He's scary because he's not just strong, but he's smart and knows how to make people afraid. He can choke someone without touching them and break through entire forces using the power of the Force. Vader's biggest weakness is that underestimates people who don't have powers like him. And that's why in Star Wars: A New Hope, Vader is flying his TIE fighter and is seconds away from killing Luke and destroying the Rebel base. But Han Solo, a regular pilot with no Force powers, comes back at the last moment and knocks Vader's ship out of the fight. It's a reminder that Vader can't sense or react to everything at once, especially surprise attacks from unexpected angles. The second time is in The Empire Strikes Back, during the lightsaber battle in Cloud City. Vader beats regular Luke easily and reveals the big twist: "I am your father." Then he tries to make Luke join the dark side, but Luke chooses to fall down a shaft instead of joining him. He beats Vader by refusing to turn. In Return of the Jedi, during the final duel, Luke damages Vader's chest panel and suit. After that, Vader starts wheezing and becomes much weaker. His armor keeps him alive, but it also makes him slow and easier to target. If you hit the right spot, his chest panel, mask, or helmet, you can break his life support. Finally, Vader isn't immune to emotions. Vader brings Luke to the Emperor, hoping to turn him. When Luke refuses, the Emperor uses Force lightning to torture him, and at first, Vader watches. But then, something changes. He grabs the Emperor and throws him down the shaft, saving Luke's life. In the end, it's a human who refuses to turn, even when he's losing. That stops Vader. If you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe, and you also might enjoy watching these. Thanks.